What's up YouTube, Del here from Zephyr, and finally I am able to bring you a Nekroz deck profile. Now this is the update post Battles of Legend. Everyone was waiting for Orcus, Punks, Gem Knights and even Dragon Maids, but I was waiting for the Nekroz cards and we finally got them. So I've been able to put this list together. It does have some of my own personal text in it. There are a couple of cards at the end of this particular main deck that I'll show you that are options to fill in the final spaces. There's 4 spaces that aren't concrete yet, and I'll talk you through the options that I'm currently testing towards so you can kind of see the ideas behind them. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. If you do want to see any other decks from Battles of Legend, Monster Mayhem, or even in the future for a specific deck you're looking for, let me know in the comments down below. I'm more than happy to do it if I have the cards available. So, diving headfirst into now the brand new starter for Nekroz being free Advanced Swordsman of the Nekroz. Now, ironically, it's called Advanced and it's called Swordsman, but it's a spellcaster. And I think the reason for that is if it was a warrior, you would be able to abuse this even more. That being said, this card is pros and cons. Now what I mean by that is the pros. If you ritual summon exactly one Nekroz ritual monster with a card effect that requires the use of monsters, this card you control could be used as the entire tribute. So quite like Shurit, this will give you the ability to treat itself as whatever level you need it to be. The benefit of something like that is a lot of your high level Nekroz monsters say they can't be ritual summoned using exactly a level 9, a level 8, you name it. So this just makes your ritual summoning so much easier. If that wasn't enough as well, you get the benefit that when this card is normal summoned, specifically, you get to special summon a Nekroz monster from the deck except itself. Now, this is only going to be able to get you direct access to your other effect monsters, not your ritual monsters, because obviously they need to be ritual summoned, but this will give you access to the brand new Dance Priestess, which I'll talk about in a minute, because this card, top end. It can also get you access to Shurit, and it also lets you play some of the other older Nekroz monsters as well, should you wish to. If this card is treated by a card effect, you get to add any number of your banished Nekroz cards with different names from your graveyard. From your banished zone to the hand, which is really, really kind of cool because you'll see throughout a play that what you're doing with the brand new ritual spell, being your Nekroz Divine Mirror, is you're very easily able to banish your cards. Now, in an ideal scenario, there are ways where you might want to be able to go Valk tribute itself off and tribute off the advance, so you get a clear field. But the idea behind that one is that all of your old Nekroz spell cards, they banish when you control no monsters, which is a real pain. I wish they all had the updated effect of the Divine Mirror, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But that basically just lets you banish itself plus a Nekroz monster to then add a Nekroz spell from the deck to the hand. And that's just going to give you even more access to everything you need. Moving on to the other brand new card. This card, again, is just absolutely amazing. So we've got Amelia, the Dance Priestess of the Nekroz. So if you summon exactly a Nekroz ritual monster using a card effect that requires a monster, you get to use this as the entire tribute cost. So again, quite like Shurat, quite like the Advance, it just covers everything you need, which is beautiful. Then the other benefits of this one as well is that if you control a warrior Nekroz monster is in your field or graveyard, you get to special summon this card from the hand. And if this card is normal or special, you get to add a Nekroz monster, a ritual monster to be specific, or a Nekroz spell from the deck to the hand. So this card, absolutely amazing. But because this card is on normal only, you kind of want to normal this and then special this from the deck. That's when you're going to get the most advantage through everything. And that's kind of like the loop you want to go for. Speaking of the warrior monster, we are on the one Shurit. Now this has kind of been power crept, which is crazy to believe because back in the day this card was mental and was actually on the ban list at one point. So if you ritual summon exactly a Nekroz ritual monster, again you get to use this as the entire tribute. But the big difference is the Amelia and the Advance are only if you control them. So you can't use them as the full ritual requirements if you have them in the grave, the hand, or anything else in between. But Shurit is basically just, if you need to use it, you can use it for the entire requirements. You can banish it from the graveyard with some of your ritual spells, you name it, you've got everything. If it is tributed via a card effect, you get to add a warrior monster, Nekroz ritual monster from the deck to the hand. Now again, the reason that's so important is because your warrior Nekroz monsters are going to be so good to get you access to stuff like your Amelia the Dance Princess. They can work their ways into any of your other Nekroz monsters. You just have so much synergy going round and round and round. Speaking of which, we are on free Nekroz of Brionac. Absolutely love this card. This card is, again, top end. Like all of the Nekroz cards I really do love. I used to love playing them back in the day. But this card gives you the ability, you get to discard it to add a Nekroz monster from the deck to the hand except itself. So because it lets you add any Nekroz monster, you can add any of your original starters. More times than not, you'll go for your Advance. If you've already used up your normal summon on other cards, which you can't or don't really do, you can go for a Shurit, you can go for an Amelia. You're pretty much covering all bases as and when you need to. The other benefit as well is if it's on the field, you get to target 2 face-up monsters on the field that are special from the extra deck and shuffle them into the deck. Now, obviously, that's not a trigger effect. Big sad, because if it was, even better. But you're going to want to be using this as your card to get you to your starters. And when you're looking at ways that you can get to your starters, you have free Brionac, plus you have free of the Advanced, free of the Amelia, free Preparation of Rites. You have so many different ways to work your way into the access of your Brionac that's going to get you into everything else you need. It's just insane consistency. Then we've got 2 of the Nekroz of Yugioh. This is one of these cards that is kind of, again, just been slightly power crept. So what made this card so incredibly good is that while it's on the field, monsters from the extra deck are negated. Specifically special summon from the extra deck, because obviously that's kind of the best way you're going to be doing it. But the thing with the modernized Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that there's still stuff like Prankatops that outs it, there's still stuff like Fenrir that can out it. Heck, there's even some normal summon monsters that can sometimes out a 2300 that don't even need to rely on the extra deck. That being said, it's still an incredibly powerful floodgate, and you could cut it down to 1 should you wish. The reason I've got 2 is I actually do quite like to use its discard effect, that you get to discard this card to then target a Nekroz card in the graveyard, accept itself, and add it back to the hand. And you get to target any Nekroz cards, you get to loop back your ritual spells should you need to, and I think 2 is more than enough. Then we play a lineup of one-offs. So for the one-offs, we do have the High Mac Daddy Nekroz of Trishula. Now, I decided not to go for the alternate artwork as of yet. I am still highly tempted to do so, but I kind of felt that the Plat Secret matched the rest of everything, and I didn't want to kind of not get the max out of it. And what I mean by that is, like, I didn't want to have a Starlight Nekroz of Trishula and then have Plat Secrets of everything else in between. It kind of made it like a bit of OTD. You kind of want it all to match, but, you know, that's part and part of it, really. I say that when, you know, the other cards that are kind of locked into secrets. But I actually quite like the original artwork. I'm happy to get the alternate artwork. It's just something that I need to be looking into. And then we've got the one Nekroz of Colossus. I haven't even explained what Nekroz of Trishula does. So again, quite like all the other ritual monsters, they have a discard effect and they have a on-summon effect, or when they're on the field effect. So the quick effect to this one is when a card or effect is activated that targets a Nekroz monster or monsters you control, you get a quick effect to discard this card to negate the activation. Its summon effect is when this card is ritual summoned, you get to banish exactly 3 of your opponent's cards, 1 each from the hand, field, and grave. So the issue with that one is if they don't have a card in the grave, you won't do anything. The other benefit is, because we have our brand new ritual spell, the Divine Mirror, as being a quick play ritual spell, this actually gives you the ability to summon this more consistently during your opponent's turn. You set it up as like a hand trap-esque effect, which is really, really kind of cool. The Colossus has the ability to discard this card to add a Nekroz spell. I mean, it does say spell or trap, but we still, even since the day that this came out, don't have a Nekroz trap card. So fingers crossed one day, maybe. But then I think the Nekroz trap card has to be on the level of either being able to ritual during your opponent's turn, which is exactly what this kind of does, or it's a trap card that needs to replace something like a Dominus Impulse. Then its on-field effect is during either player's turn, you get to target a face-up monster on the field that was specialed from the extra deck, and you get to reduce its attack to 0 and negate its effects. We've then got one Nekroz of Valkyris. So this one in its hand is when your opponent monster declares an attack, you get to banish a Nekroz card from the graveyard and discard this card to negate the attack and then end the battle phase. While it's on the field, is during your main phase, you get to tribute up to 2 monsters from the hand and or field, and if you do, draw the same number of cards of what you tributed, which is kind of good, because if you tribute cards via effects as well, you'll get more effects off, but being able to kind of like either clear your field off or tribute dead cards in the hand, stuff like your Fuelos, you then just get to replace them anyway. The final 2 Nekroz monsters, we've got the one Metaltron, so this is the brand new card. Now, it has a pendulum scale that if your Nekroz card or card is banished face up, except during a damage step, you get to target a spell or trap on the field and banish it. Now, I get that it's okay. Honestly, I'd much rather have its on-field effect. So you get to ritual summon this card with any Nekroz ritual spell. It must be ritual summoned using monsters, and you cannot use level 9s, which is pretty much the same as Trish and the same as Valk. You can't use level 9s, you can't use their exact levels to make them. You get to target one face-up monster. During the main phase, quick effect, you get to target a face-up monster your opponent controls, banish this card into the end phase, and if you do, banish that monster. You can only use each effect once per turn. Any monster destroyed by battle with a Nekroz monster is banished. So if your opponent needs their graveyard and you're going aggressive, you clear off all of their grind game state. But more times than not, just being able to go, cool, Metaltron effect, to banish this, banish their starter, whether it be like a Cupsia or anything else like that, and then you have a way to deal with their surprise, you're in still very, very good position. The last card that I really wish got an upgrade on this one is the Nekroz of a Bridhair. So this one again, its discard effect is gets you tribute up to 2 Nekroz monsters from the hand and or field, and if you do, send that many Nekroz cards from the deck to the grave. And then when a monster effect is activated, quick effect, you get to tribute one monster from your hand or field to negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card. So this is your protector against Nibiru, this is protector against like any kind of monster effect that might be utilized, and it is basically just one of your go-tos, and again, it's just so much easier to make now, especially when we have more cards that are going to be able to treat themselves as the full ritual fodder requirements. Moving on to the spell cards, I really like playing this card at 3. You can play it at 2 if you want to, but I think this card is just absolutely insane. So Nekroz Divine Mirror. Being a quick play is why I want to play it at more. It's why I don't mind playing these at 1s, because this card just does everything I need it to. So during the main phase, ritual summon a Nekroz ritual monster from the hand or banishment by tributing monsters from your hand, field, and or sending Nekroz monster from the extra deck to the graveyard. I really hope that again in the future we're going to get more Nekroz monsters that can come from the extra deck. As it currently stands, it basically means that if you have this card face up in your extra deck, you can use this as your tribute fodder. But, you know, I'm hoping we're going to get like a synchro. Like, I kind of want to replace the heralds. I kind of want to replace like all of the cards we use. I want there to be like a Nekroz XZs. I don't even need them to be summonable. I just want them to be cards that are like, yes, send me from the extra deck to the graveyard and I'll get you more consistency. And then the benefit of this one as well, whose total levels equal or exceed, very, very nice. During the main phase, you get to banish this card and a Nekroz monster from the graveyard to add a Nekroz spell from the deck to your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. I'm so glad that didn't say you can only use one effect per turn, but the fact you can use each is really good. Because the idea is that through your plays, whether you search this out or whatever, you activate this, you'll usually start off by normal summon down the Advance will special summon out the Amelia. Amelia will then search you out either this or the ritual monster you want to get to. You'd activate this to summon out any of your ritual monsters tributing off the Amelia. You'll then banish this and the Amelia from the graveyard, and then what happens is you'll search out another ritual spell you need to use that ritual spell to tribute off the Advance, and then Advance just adds these both back. So it's just like a crazy loop, which is really cool. For the other ritual spells, we're on the 1 Kaleidoscope, the 1 Mirror, and the 1 Cycle. So Kaleidoscope is, in my opinion, the best one. And the reason that this is the best one is this card can be used to ritual summon any Nekroz ritual monster. You tribute a monster from the hand or field, or send one monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. Also, after that, ritual summon any number of Nekroz monsters whose total levels equal exactly the level of the monster that you sent. You can banish this card and a Nekroz monster from your graveyard to add a spell or trap. Add a spell card from your deck, a Nekroz spell card from the deck. However, the biggest issue of that one is you need to control no monsters, which is the same as all the others. But the benefit of something like this is I send a Herald from the extra deck to the graveyard, I summon out my Unicorn, I then use Herald's effect to search. The other added benefit is if you do the maths correctly, you can send a level 10 Synchro and summon down a Brionac and a Unicorn. You can send a level 11 Synchro and summon down a Trishula plus a Kalos. You can also summon a 12, gets you Valk and Unicorn. Like, there's so many ways to get 2. It's just rare that we're doing that because of the ones that we actually want to have on the field make it a little bit more awkward. Like this one as a level 9 is not the worst one. So this is why you might want to consider like a level 11, but then you're going to be summoning down these 2 in combination. And like I've said, you're probably using this as your discard effect to get you into your Brionac. So when you're trying to summon this down, you're probably only going to summon itself. And then this card, you don't really have a Synchro monster that's level 13, sadly, and then a Nekroz monster that's less than a level 3. So it's very rare you're going to be able to actually resolve the 2 effect, which is why I've lent away from that. And I'm really only focusing on using this to send the Herald or a level 6, which will give me a bit more utility to get me into the Brionac. Because remember as well, trying to get into your bigger guys, you can't use a level 9, a level 8. You have to use a higher level, and that means you then need to be able to get another one on the field. So very, very specific requirements on that one, and like I said, that's why I've lent away from that. The Nekroz Mirror, again, does exactly the same. You banish this and another Nekroz monster, add a Nekroz spell from the deck to the hand, but you have to control no monsters to do so. But this one gives you the ability to tribute monsters from the hand or field and or banish Nekroz monsters from the graveyard to ritual summon a Nekroz from the hand whose total levels equal exactly what you've just banished or tributed or anything else like that. So Cycle gives you the ability to tribute monsters from the hand or field, but then ritual summon a Nekroz ritual monster from the hand or grave. So you've got the hand or grave. You've got the ability to utilize the banish zone to use as fodder to summon from the hand or from the hand. Then you've got the extra deck to utilize as your fodder, and then the other one gives you the ability to summon from the banish zone, but then use your hand as well. So there's just so much consistency. Then we're on 3 Preparation of Rites. So add a level 7 or lower ritual from the deck to the hand, and then add a ritual spell from the grave to the hand. So if you've already been able to resolve a Cycle or a Mirror or even a Kaleidoscope, you add them back. Just remember, this card is not a ritual spell, it's a quick play spell, so you won't be able to add that back from the grave to the hand. But this basically acts as additional 3 copies of Unicorn, Class, and Brionac. So you've got so many different access points. Then as another one of your starters, which is just incredible in this deck, is 3 Nadir Servant. So send a monster from the extra deck to the graveyard. Now, very, very important. Very rarely, unless you choose to play the Nekroz Ritual monster, will you be able to send Herald of the Arclight, because you have to add a monster that has the same attack or less than the monster that you send. So when you're sending this, you can only add a monster that has 600 or less attack. So be sure if you're facing this, they can't do that. More times than not, what you're going to be doing is you're going to send one of your higher ones, probably the Garura, but in this one, I quite like sending the Tri-Brigade, which will make sense once you've seen these two cards here. That will then allow you to search out the Maximus. And the reason that we do it that way is that then the Tri-Brigade will send the Garura, which gives you a draw, but more times than not, your Maximus then uses its effect to send your Herald of the Arclight plus one more, and that then gives you access to a ritual spell or a ritual monster, and then whatever other effect you have decided to send. So whether it be Totally Awesome, recycle one of your Aqua monsters, whether it be Omega, recycle any of your cards from the graveyard. There are a couple of extra deck cards that I'll show you in a bit that will give you a bit more advantage, and I'll explain how I use this when I get there. Speaking of using this, one Shadow's Schism. This is my personal option. You don't have to do it, okay? Now, the reason that I like this is because what I found was when I activate Nadir Servant, what you want to send 99.999% of the times, most people will just send the Garura, which is absolutely fine. I like to send the Tri-Brigade, and the reason I do this is I play Ultimate Slayer in the extra deck, side deck. So what you do is you send the Tri-Brigade, you search out your Dogmatica Maximus. On resolution, you then use the Tri-Brigade to send the Garura. You send the Garura. Then what you do here is you use Garura's effect to draw you one card. Great success. Then when we use Dogmatica Maximus, we banish either one of these, leaving a dark in the graveyard. You then summon down the Maximus. Maximus then uses its effect to send two from the extra deck. So you send the Herald of the Arclight, and you have to send another one with a different name. So I choose to send the El Shadow Apkalone. Now the reason I do that is that on a new chain, whatever one you want to prioritize, you can go chaining 1, chaining 2. Herald would then search you out a ritual spell or a ritual monster. Great success. The Apkalone will then search you out your Shadow's Schism and then make you discard a card. At this exact moment in time in our graveyard, keeping in mind that one of these has been banished, we will have a Shadow monster plus a Dark monster and then Herald. Herald is a little bit irrelevant, but the idea is that what I now have is that during my opponent's turn, I can activate the Shadow's Schism, banishing the Apkalone and the Garura, and then summon out a Winder. Now, keeping in mind, you're not going to go down the Winder loop if you already have Unicorn on the field, because Unicorn negates all monsters special on from the extra deck, even your own, so you don't do that. But the idea is, if I've decided to go down the route of being able to ritual summon once during my opponent's turn because I've got the Divine Mirror, and my opponent tries to activate a way to out the Unicorn or anything else like that, I let them either out the Unicorn or I use the Unicorn as tribute fodder or anything else like that, and then I can work my way into a Winder and completely lock my opponent down. You don't have to play that. These are two very, very easy flex spots that you can change out if you want to play a different route. This is just the route that I quite like playing when I'm utilizing the Nadir package, because it's only one more card in the main deck. Yes, it's a brick. Yes, it's a pain in the backside, but you do also have other ways to send from your extra deck to the graveyard. Remember that when you're looking at the levels of certain cards, now obviously the or maybe Winder's not going to help you, but the Apkalone is, because the Apkalone is a level 6. So you can also send that with the Kaleidoscope to summon you out a Brionac. So there's just so many different ways you can utilize it, which even if you do hard open up the Schism, you get the exact same outcome. You're still putting the Shadow monsters to the graveyard. All you need to do is get another Dart to the graveyard, and you work your way into a Shadow lock. Then for the hand traps of choice, free Molchomi Fuelos, free Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Now, the final spaces of this deck really come down to personal preference. Now, I am so drawn to this card. I love this card in the game. I think it looks incredible. I think its effect is amazing. The issue when you use this is it locks out your Herald of the Arclight. So it's one of them ones that you kind of want to see this go in first and then use your Herald already, and then you can set your Dominus Impulse, which isn't an ideal way of doing it, but it's just one that I'm so drawn to. In an ideal scenario, if you want to be as competitive as possible, the final 4 slots would be 3 Azuna and 1 Lupus. In doing so, you would then find 2 slots in your extra deck to play both of these. So that is option number 2. Option number 3, it could be Infinite Impermanence, it could be 2 Ghost Ogre, 2 Ghost Bell, it could be 3 Effect Veiler, it could be 2 Nibiru, 3 Nibiru, you name it. Like, you have 4 spaces here that you can adapt. They could be Breakers, they could be Forbidden Droplets, it could be Dark Rule No Mores, they could be Ultimate Slayers in the main deck. You have flexibility to change it to whatever you want. I am currently testing around. I'm testing around to see how badly does this actually affect me and lock me down. And then if I have access to it, how effective is this going to be as a hand trap? There's also in a world where I'd actually want to take out the Ash Blossom, because honestly, the Ash Blossoms are mainly in here to trade off with your opponent's Molchummies. So if my opponent is not going to be able to Molchummy me because they're like, oh, they're playing a Nekroz deck, then you kind of want to trade back and forth. And I feel that the Ash Blossom I could take out and then go for more effective hand traps. So I could go with 3 Perulia, 3 Fualos, and then 4 Canine cards as well. So you've got the options. You can adapt it as much as you see fit. It really is entirely up to you. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now I'm going to show you the extra deck. So for the extra deck, as already mentioned, we are on 2 Herald of the Arclight. Pretty standard on this one. Like, this is an absolute staple. Some builds may even play 3 of this card. It really is up to your preference. I'm quite happy with 2 because you do have ways to loop it. One card that I do like the idea of is playing, I think is it Nihog? The Elder Entity, which is basically a rank 4. And what used to happen was, in a Nekroz day, is you would overlay 2 level 4s, which you have even more access to with stuff like your Advance and your Amelia. But you don't really want them as used as overlay material. You kind of want to use them as tribute fodder. Regardless, what would happen is you would make a rank 4, usually with like a unicorn and then something else, and then you'd be able to detach the materials off the Nidhogg and then reattach the Herald of the Arclight so that when the Nidhogg used its effect or was sent, you would then be able to trigger the Herald of the Arclight effect again. You can play more rank 4s in this deck. I choose not to, just because I'm playing the Shaddoll package, and then I'm contemplating playing the package for the Canines. But again, flexibility entirely up to you. For the other synchros, we're playing the 1 Malong. Again, keep in mind that the side deck, when you see it, is Ultimate Slayer, which is why I've got the Malong here, but also being a level 6 means that I can send it with Kaleidoscope for the Brionac. I've then got the 1 Omega and the 1 Packbit. These are, again, just disruptive go second cards I can send from the extra deck to the graveyard with stuff like Maximus. I can't use them with Kaleidoscope unless I've got 2 Unicorns in the hand, and even then that's very, very rare that that would even come up. You can play a level 5 Nekroz Ritual Monster if you wanted to, and then you can use Class, and then of course you could use that one. But ultimately, the idea is that Omega would go to the graveyard to shuffle back some of the materials you might want to recycle, and the Packbit gives you that option to discard a card to then put one of your opponent's monsters into the spam trap zone, which can be very, very awkward for them to try and get it back into rotation. For the Link monsters, we're only playing 2, so I'm playing the 1 Tri-Brigade and the 1 Dynamundo. Now, the one big important thing about the Dynamundo is you can't use it to bring back your ritual monsters. Very, very important. So if this card is special, you get to target 1 card on the field and a ritual monster in your graveyard. Great. You get to shuffle those both back into the deck. During your opponent's turn, you get a quick event to tribute this card and then target a ritual monster in your graveyard. Either add it to the hand or special summon it. You can't special summon it because they must be ritual summoned via a Nekroz ritual spell, which is really, really annoying. So more times than not, you'll be using it as a tribute off to then add back like a Valk, so you can end the battle phase, add back a Trish, so you can start up a target negation. That's what you're going to be using it for. For the XEs in this one, we've got the Meteorologic Agitator, the Totally Awesome, the Daguerres, and the Typhon. Now, you can actually very easily sub out the Daguerres for something like a Dargusta Emerald. You can also sub it out for a Baguska as well if you do get hand trapped to death, because as you've probably seen, this deck likes to search a lot. So if you do get hit with Drown Lockbird, it will suck. Now, because of the way the format is, I haven't really focused on trying to stop the Drown Lockbird, because to do that, you might want to consider main decking stuff like Salesban. Heck, you could even main deck stuff like Crossout Designator, Call by the Grave, definitely, but it kind of adapted the rest of the deck that I wasn't too happy with. So I kind of went down this particular route, because there are ways to still play through Drown Lockbird. It's just not the ideal scenario. Then for the fusion monsters, so the ones that you'll be sending will be Garura and Elder Entity Unts, and then the 2 Shaddoll monsters. Now again, adapt this as you see fit. If you don't want to play the Shaddoll package, but you want to play the Canine package, that's your very easy 2 in, 2 out. If you don't want to play either of those packages, you could very easily put in Super Poly in the side deck, and then you take these out for Super Poly targets, being like your Mud Dragon, and then any other generic Super Poly target that's going to be effective at your environment. So that's it for the entire extra deck. Now to move on to the side deck, just so you have a bit of an idea. So the side deck is very, very optional. You don't have to play the exact lineup that I've done. I decided to go for more breakers just because I already have a very decent go first particular field, like Unicorn or even Schism backed up with other cards as well can make it very awkward for my opponent. So trying to break the field is probably something that I need to focus on more than try and defend the field. But you could look at other cards as well, which I am playing, which I'll show you towards the end of this. So 3 Ultimate Slayer, like the extra deck is obviously designed to send cards from the extra deck to the graveyard. So when you're able to play a go second card that's going to do that for you, you kind of want to utilize it. I decided to go with 2 Lightning Storm and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. Again, completely optional. These are the breakers. If they're not effective for you in your environment, you can play 3 Raigeki should you wish to. 2 Dark Rule and No More, backed up by 2 Triple Tactics Thrust, and 1 Triple Tactic talent. So the idea is that you can max out on your normal spell cards if you want to, you can minimize them if you want to, and max out your Triple Tactics Thrust. It's kind of giving that whole idea of Triple Tactics Thrust can be anything, so it lets you play a bit more of a variety, which is why I'm then also playing 4 normal trap cards in the Destructive Daruma Cannon, Dimension Barrier, DDG, and the Black Goat that laughs. Now, obviously, D-Barrier is going to be for very specific matchups, as is Daruma Cannon, DDG, and Black Goat last. But the idea is you've got a card that deals with your opponent if they want to use their graveyard. You've got a card that deals with your opponent if they are down a mono type, so they're only going to fusion, Dracotales, they're only going to Synchros, they're only going to fusion, XZs, you name it. And then we've got the Destructive Daruma Cannon, because where D-Barrier is not going to be effective, it means that they're probably playing Links, and that's where Destructive Daruma Cannon comes into play, because you flip everything face down, and whatever can't go face down gets sent to the graveyard. So you're clearing everything off as you go. So that is pretty much it for the entire main deck, extra deck, and side deck. I hope this has given you so much information that your mind is already blown, but take your time. Any questions after you've digested this video, then let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer them for you. I am so happy that I've finally been able to pick up the new Nekroz cards. I know those of you that are stateside didn't have to wait, but we unfortunately did. But now that we have got past that waiting period, we are now able to utilize Nekroz, Dragon Maids, Orcus, Fabled, you name it. It's going to be so, so cool. I'm actually really looking forward to how to utilize these in the environment as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.